I'm Tony Manzoni, a PGA golf professional, and I've been teaching golf for quite a long time. We're here in the Coachella Valley at the College of the Desert Golf Center. In the last 15 years, I developed a swing concept that has greatly improved the people that I teach, from youngsters to people that are just having a tough time just playing the game. There are two ways in which you can swing a golf club to square the club. You can swing it with the rotation of your arms and hands, which I was taught as a caddy, and most people have. The other concept is to square the club by connecting the club in the backswing to the body and then rotating the body, and in doing so, you square the club. The latter keeps the club head square longer. The rotational swing with the hands and arms has the blade open and closed longer. So there is where we're looking for in the difference of what we call the modern swing. And I believe that the single pivots, staying on the left side, center to the ball, rotational golf swing is the way that anyone should learn, professional or amateur. I think I learned the golf swing about 15 years ago. Sad to say for me, I would have liked to have known what I know now when I was 18 or 19. But I read a letter by Ben Hogan that was illuminating, because he said he shifts his weight to his left foot on the backswing, and that goes against everything I'd ever known. And then I saw some film, and I looked at his body position relative to the ball, and again, it was totally different than what I perceived to be correct. And that started a quest. I started reading everything I could find about Ben Hogan. I had already read Power Golf and the 5 Fundamentals, but these were changes that he made after that. You know, after his accident, and he had a catastrophic accident, he changed the way he played golf and his perception of it, but never put it in print, only made statements that were in various books. So that's how this all started, and I kept honing my own skills in doing it. I'm not even close to Ben Hogan, and never will be, but I'm close enough to where I can improve the play of just about anyone. If they play off of 2 axes, I don't care if it's a tour player, I can improve their ball striking. How we hold the golf club is one of the basic fundamentals of the golf swing. Now, the grip is, if you have a faulty grip, probably you're going to hit a lot of bad shots. So I'd like to try to explain the grip how I perceive it to be today. In the left hand, and I'm going to hold the club up like this. For people that are just starting golf, this is where you learn the grip. Do it at eye level so that you can see your work. When the club is down down here, there is illusions that make you feel as if your hands are on the club properly, but they're not. So let's do our work here. So I'm going to hold the shaft of the golf club with my right hand, and with my left hand, I'm going to place my left hand on the club so that I form a line with my thumb and first finger, or a V is what we call it. I'm going to close that gap, and that V is going to point towards my right collarbone. Now, some players will have that V with the thumb right on top of the shaft, pointing at their chin. Ben Hogan, greatest player of all time. But you've got to kind of find your position that it feels good on. The job of the hands is strictly to hold the club, not to manipulate it. That's the left-hand grip. I have it in the palm of my hand and the fingers. And if I were to let go of the club and hold it, you would see that I have placed the handle under the pad of my hand. That's a very important position. A lot of people that wear gloves and it wears out there, that's because they haven't got that pad on top of this part of the handle. It gets to the side, so it's moving. So then I just wrap my fingers around it, and that's what the grip looks like at this view. Now you'll notice that this knuckle is protruding as it should be. It's not like baseball. There's going to be a little space in there. I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to just slide it right down the shaft so that the palm of my hand is on the right hand side of the handle. Now I have 3 options. I can do a 10-finger grip, which is called a baseball grip. Not widely used, but was used by a couple of noted professionals and won big tournaments. I can do the interlocking grip, which Jack Nicklaus does, smallish hands. They claim this is for a weak-handed person, but I worked for Ken Venturi at one time, and he has big hands, and he had the interlocking grip. So I think it's more of a personal preference. And then the last and most popular grip is what we call the overlapping grip, or Varden grip. And that's with the small finger of the right hand either sits on top of the knuckle or in between that space. The club is held in the fingers more of the right hand, more into the base of the fingers. And the hand sits right on top, so the lifeline covers the thumb. So as you look at my hands, you'll see that both V's that I form by closing the thumb to the first finger, both V's, they point somewhere here. Now this is my grip. And some people are going to play with a little stronger grip, and some are going to play with a little weaker grip. But this is where I feel I have control of this club. I want to be able to hold this club so that it doesn't move within my grip as I'm swinging. Because if I lose it and take the club to the top and I'm starting to re-grip it, that's going to change the position of the club head. So having a secure grip is very important in the golf swing throughout the swing. I'm not talking tight, but I'm sure not talking loose. If you were going to capsulize the swing, it's you're taking a golfer, setting him to the golf ball. He is going to rotate on that axis around the body in both directions this way, okay? And he's going to connect his arm so that the arm becomes a lever to a gear. And where the gear moves, the lever moves. So it works like a one-piece action. And what we're doing is we're eliminating this rotation of this arm, which causes a lot of problems. And it's the way people played. It's kind of the Scottish style of play where you had to try to draw the ball and make the ball hit the fairway and roll. But today's world, we're trying to hit the ball a lot higher, a lot farther, with a lot less side spin. That's what kills everybody, is the side spin. This eliminates most of the side spin. There's a number of really good players on tour that are in the top 10, and there's a few of them that are what we call arm swingers. And if they understood this simple little statement of that, instead of bringing the arm down to square the club, turn and hit it, it would improve their ball striking, and I promise you, they wouldn't lose any distance. In fact, I think you would gain distance because you hit it square more often. Taking the stance in the golf swing is another one of the basic fundamentals, and a very important one. What we're doing is we're positioning our body to the golf ball so that we can center ourselves to the ball. In the past, I know you've heard get behind the ball at address. I don't think that's incorrect, but I think it makes the game harder, especially for people that are getting a little bit older, because in doing that, you're putting more weight on the right side. So I like to say that I'm going to center myself to the ball. The first thing I'll do is put my feet together and put the ball right between my feet. I will then move my right foot a comfortable, like at the top of my shoulder, in line with my shoulder. My hip is now on the inside of my right foot, so it's in line with the instep. It's very important, okay? So I would never want my outside of my right hip to be in line with the outside of my shoe. I could not create a brace, so this is very important. There's my brace. I'm going to move my left foot just slightly, and now the ball sits somewhere within an inch of my heel. I'm going to play all my irons in that position, so I'm not going to move the ball back for the shorter irons. All I'm going to do is I'm going to narrow up my stance. So it's going to appear that this ball is in the center of my stance, which it is not. And with a driver, I'm going to widen my stance. So I'm going to be more there. But again, I'm going to try to align my nose and the shirt placard on that golf ball, not behind it, with either a driver or a wedge. I hope that the people that purchase this DVD will get it. We'll get the simplicity of this, that we're talking about staying on one axis, rotating around it, keeping the arm connected to the body so it works like a gear and a lever, and to trust that action. And obviously you have to practice this just like any other swing, but they're going to readily see that it's much simpler. They don't have to think about, where is the club at the top? Is my wrist flat? Is it cupped? Who cares? The only thing I want it to be is flat down here. And it's going to be flat down here through connection, rotation, and momentum. You're not going to be able to put your hand there. I mean, I hear instructors tell people to hit a golf ball like that, and there is just no way to do that. You know, that's the result of something. You can't do it purposely. It happens because you rotate your body, or you're moving, and the club lags behind you. You know, you hear words in golf like, well, you got to lag the club for power. Well, the club lags behind you because your body's getting out of the way, and that's pulling the club through. If you throw the club with your hands, you have no lag because the body stops and the wrists do this as they should. I teach a method that allows you to have a lot of your own signature in it and still play good golf. I want to talk to you just about some of the tips that I give some of my students when they play, when things get off. Let's just look at address position. A lot of people have the attempt of trying to get the left arm and the shaft of a golf club in line. You've got to be careful in doing this because Hogan, who was a master in everything he did, there was a purpose behind it. He actually set his hands a little bit more behind the ball, so his shaft was really more centered to his arms than in a position like this. Okay, this sets into a set of circumstances that I think you don't want. I'm going to go from this angle here so that you can see. The further I move this handle forward, the more my golf club head wants to go inside. So please be careful, especially when you're chipping or something. You can shank a ball. You don't need to get. These angles shouldn't be very severe. This would be a better position of the shaft. In fact, I kind of like to say that I want to put the shaft behind the golf ball and just let the handle be on the left edge of the ball. So I want my shaft here. That's more centered to me, and I can get that club going, not straight back. If someone tells you to take the club straight back and straight through, tell them we're not playing croquet, and that's the only kind of a game. A game this way is the only way you can go straight back and straight through. The club has to make somewhat of a circular motion or a U-shaped motion, and the club has to follow your body, so it's going to go around the body. The club cannot stay in front of the body and hit the ball with any power whatsoever. So this is a rotational game. It never has been anything but that. Now, you can rotate your arms, but it's a rotational game, so there is no straight back. So when you position that club head to the ball, get away from these kind of angles. No good. When you have the driver in your hand, the driver is going to be a little bit different because it's longer. So when I set my little hot Nakashima against that ball, that handle is going to be really behind the ball. And that's because this golf club, on all drivers, the shaft goes into the head on this side of the head. With irons, the shaft goes into the head on this side. So with irons, there is a slight tilt to the shaft. With woods, you really want the shaft to be, if anything, there. I wouldn't want to ever do that. That would put that club face aimed out to right field. Those are the kinds of things that we can do in the setup that will destroy our golf swing. Keep in mind that you want that club to follow the rotation of the body. So this is not inside, because if I step this way, that club is still square to my body. This would be an inside motion. This would not be an inside motion because it's square to my body. A lot of people, in listening to golf instruction, try to take the club out there. I have disconnected my left arm from my body, so I'm going to have to eventually get here to hit the golf ball. So why not just stay on one plane, turn the body? I'm in the position to go the other way. I don't have to go up and then back underneath, because no matter who you are, to hit a golf ball correctly, if you're right-handed, that right elbow has to be at the hip. It has to be there. So if I take it like this, I can't hit that way. I've got to whip it right back underneath. And that's a style of teaching. When I was a young man, we take it out to in, out to in. Don't need to do that. That's just one more timing element that you have to deal with. So learn to set that club to the ball, center yourself to the golf ball, rotate the body, keeping the shaft of the club in the relationship of the chest about the same to there. From there, the right arm folds and the club goes behind you. Now it's ready to be pulled the other way. Another thing that you have to really be sure of and know this is that at the top of the swing, if you're right-handed, your left arm is going to point right of the target, as is your hips. So if I was hitting this ball and I want to hit right down this fairway, at the top of my swing, Everything is pointing this way. That's where you start your rotation. You actually start your rotation out that way. You can't come back on the target line. So your golf club has to come from inside to square and back to inside. So that first move, okay, so here I am at the top of my swing. But that first move has to be that way. That way. I'm going right where my left arm is pointing, but this is part of that. I've taken the proper grip. I'm going to stand to the golf ball, and I'm going to go through the process of setup. I've set to the ball. My shoulders are somewhat level. My nose is in line with the ball, and now I'm going to start the motion in what we call the coil back. I'm not going to shift weight to the right foot. I'm going to coil more behind me, so as I turn, my right shoulder, right hip are going to be rotating behind me towards the target. So here we go. They turn towards the target. So now I'm braced on the left side. I've made a good coil. My back is to the target. My left arm is stretched across my chest. This is the top of my backswing. Now some of you might be here. Some of you might be flatter. Keep in mind that we all have our own plane. Based on my anatomy and my flexibility at this time of my life, that's all I can do. So I'm just coiling as much as I can into this brace, but not adding weight to it. So as this hip turns behind me, as this shoulder turns behind me, you'll see the inclination of my right leg steepen. That's the top of the swing. I couldn't hold it very much longer. I wanted to spring forward. Okay, the through swing from that position is going to be just a matter of taking what we have coiled from one side of the body around the pivot leg, which is the left leg. So as I get into that setup, or that position, okay, here we go, I'm ready to unwind this, but I don't want this to happen. That's what your instincts tell you. Let the arms drop, and that's a way to play. But once that arm drops, your arms have to rotate. They have to turn over. And now you've put side spin into your game. What I want to happen is as I get the club here, I want to rotate my body. See, that nothing has changed. My position of my left arm in relationship to my chest is the same as it is here and it is here. So as I rotate through, the club's going to go all the way through. So my body is doing a rotational motion. You see pros do this all the time. They're practicing where their torso goes in relationship to this golf ball. So as I set to the ball and I create a brace, now I'm going to coil. Okay, so I coil the top part of me against a resisting lower part. But when I say resisting, I don't mean totally. That hip has to turn. That's a source of power. Your core is where all this power comes from. So we coil into the brace. Now from here, I just uncoil and I'm in a perfect position. Chest is left of the target and I'm in perfect balance. So all I've done, I've eliminated that lateral move where everybody gets in trouble. So again, I'm on the ball, brace right leg, brace steepens, I unwind to the finished position. This is the makeup gal for this tape. She's done a great job making an old guy look pretty good. Lana has never played golf, has no idea about golf except what she's heard today. I'm going to show you how easy it is for her to understand how the body moves the arm, moves the club face into impact. Lana, I want you to just copy me. Put your arm across your chest. Take your right hand and just hold your arm against your chest, and then just bend slightly from the waist and bend the knees. Okay, you're primarily in a position where you're going to hit a ball. We're going to use this at the club face, okay? I'm going to put my hand right here. I want you to slap with this part of the club face against my hand, but don't change this position. How would you do that? That's right, you turn your body. If I put my hand here, how would you hit this hand? You just turn your body further. So what Lana is doing now, instead of relax your arm for a second. Instead of dropping her arm and swinging her arm only, she's rotating her body to move. So the relationship of her arm to her body has not changed. All she's done is rotate her body. This is what the modern swing. This is what people are copying Hogan. He had a connected swing, so he rotated his body as fast as he could around a single axis, okay? makes the game easier. Do this at home. This is the whole banana right here. Coil, uncoil, coil, uncoil. Look at these positions. Can't be any better than that. And what I've taken all the timing out of this move. Do it one more time for us, Lana. Yeah, now go ahead and turn all the way through this time. All the way to me. That's a girl. See? Accuracy automatically because it's connected. The body doesn't have a lot of flexibility in motion. The hands, wrists, and arms do. So these guys can go all over the place. But if I'm here and I'm hitting this way, I'm going to repeat that motion. And people, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to own our own golf swing and be able to repeat it.
I really didn't know anything about golf because my mom forced me into it. I'm pretty athletic, so I can do all different swings, but the swing, I guess it doesn't really give me any pain. I mean, some swings, like, you have to shift your back, so you get hip pain, but not the swing. It's really comfortable for me. People just sometimes, I'm just hitting on the range, and when I have a really good day, they just come up to me. They're like, "Oh, how old are you? How long have you been playing? Your swing's really nice." My swing's more on the left side, and then you just turn through. When the other girls at the tournaments they go right to left, they shift. Well, I feel like the other girls shift right to left, and they don't get that much accuracy. But with this swing, you get accuracy and power, which you need both.
I'm here with Jiyun Jang, one of my students. She's 13 years old, great striker of the ball already. And Jiyun's we're going to go through a little process of showing you the same conditions that we do with all the players at every age. Okay, Jiyun, I'd like you to get into the position we've talked about. And she's going to create a brace with 60% of her weight on the left leg, 40% on the right. The right hip is aligned on the instep of the right foot. Very important. She's going to coil into that brace, and actually the right leg will get steeper as she coils. And she's got more weight left, and now she's ready to rotate from this position. And all she really has to do is rotate to top. Note where the left arm is in relationship to the chest. It's high on the chest. It's going to stay high as she makes her first move. So create your brace. Widen this foot just a bit. There we go. Push against that left side. Okay, she's ready to go. Now you just go ahead and go through your process. Hold your position. You can't hit it any better than that. Look at the balance. Power, balance, speed.
I started as a teenager, basically, and then I played other sports during schools, and then what happened was I kind of get away from golf for numerous years, and once my kids all left, I had more time to go back to golf, worked a little bit longer, and then retired to Coachella Valley. As I'm a little bit older now, and not near as flexible as I would have been 25 years ago, it's easier to start on my left side, therefore I can make a spin away from the ball, spin back through the ball, and not a lot of backward or sliding movement to the right, or not a lot of backward or sliding move to the left. Well, I was having some trouble with my game. I had some injuries that were bugging me, and I was shooting in the, let's say, mid-80s to make it easy. And now I'm shooting anywhere between the high 70s to 80, in that neighborhood. I've dropped 4 or 5 points off my handicap score. I've seen Tony now for about a year and a half, but the problem was I went 3 months without seeing him at one time, 3 months without seeing him another time. And every time things got a little bit south, I came back, saw Tony, and he was able to straighten things out. As you're getting older, you have to deal with the lack of flexibility and also the fact that timing issues. So it's really just a body rotational movement and a body rotational movement back forward through the ball, ending up on the left side. It's easier to do.
Okay, I'm here with Gary Pravorn, one of my students. As you can see, Gary's a little older than Jiyun, a big guy, and as a teacher, you know, we have to deal with what we have to work with. So in Gary's place, he's a pretty big guy, but I'm going to set him up the same as Jiyun, and we're going to see that he's going to have the same kind of results. Gary was a double-digit handicap. We've taken him from the high 80s to the high 70s in a pretty short period of time. I think Gary right now understands why he used to hit the ball with so much side spin, and he knows how to correct that. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build a golf swing for Gary, just like we did with Jiyun, a golf swing that has very few compensations, and you control the spin of the ball. So the ball primarily goes fairly straight. And I know that his ball striking is so much better because we've taken the side spin off of his golf ball. So he's not drawing it and blocking it and cutting it. He's got that ball going pretty straight. So even when he pushes it, it doesn't have a lot of side spin on it, so he doesn't lose control of the golf ball. Gary, if you'll do me a favor and set up to the golf ball, and I'm going to point out to you the same things as I did with Gion. We've got him set up 60% on his left side, 40% on his right. The right hip is on the inside of the instep of the right foot. That's his brace, okay? As he coils his body, his right hip and right shoulder are going to go behind him, and he's actually going to put more weight on this left side, and this angle of his right leg should steepen. Go ahead, Gary. Okay, now he's at the top of the swing. The knee is in close proximity to the toe of the left foot. The angle is steepened, creating a bigger brace, now he has leverage. There is no slack in this motion. From this position, he takes everything, he takes the position that's on the right side and he rotates it to the other side. Go ahead, Gary, if you will do that for me. Okay, perfect balance. Note that his chest is also pointed left, not quite as far as Gion, but he's an older guy, okay? So we all have different issues flexibility-wise, but we can all do this. No pressure on his back because he's posted straight up. He's not tilting back. He's not working his shoulders in a tilting fashion whatsoever. Everything stays level.
I was taught the very traditional method of shift your weight to the back foot, time it with your hands to close the club face, and it's very, very difficult to do on a consistent basis. So with this new method, it's just much, much easier and less to think about while you're swinging with better results. And I could understand it, and I could understand and feel when I was doing something wrong, and then I had the answer of how to correct it when I did get into a little bit of a slump. This takes the timing out of the swing. If you're squaring the club face with your body rotation, there is no timing of the hands anymore. It's easier to keep your balance when you're doing this, and when you're out there playing golf, the less you have to think about, the better off you are. You don't want to be thinking mechanics and swing thoughts while you're out playing. You want to go play and enjoy yourself. The swing thought of keeping the arm connected to the chest at the start of the downswing, to me, is the key. It doesn't matter if your backswing is perfect. It doesn't matter if your follow-through is perfect. That's the key moment at impact where you need that connection point. So if you have that, you're going to be okay. And everybody swings a little bit different. Nobody's going to be perfectly on plane every single time, but the point is to be able to repeat the impact position and hit a relatively square shot. Well, like any golfer looking to improve their game, I would have tried anything to improve my swing. So I was open to all suggestions, but what clicked for me was that it really worked.
I'm with Karen Godwall, one of my lead instructors in a single pivot golf swing, and Karen is in a unique situation. She also teaches the game, but we work together in the swing because we're constantly trying to improve the process to make this game as easy as possible, not only for the people we teach, but for ourselves. We still enjoy playing the game. Karen's going to go through just some of the things to illustrate that even a lefty can do this stuff. Okay, so Karen, if you will, take your setup position. And Karen really sets up to the golf ball as good as you can using this process. Go ahead and take it back, Karen. And you'll note that Karen's left hip, or hip, right hip I should say, is in line with the outside of her foot. So her weight is still really primarily here. Now from this position, she's got her right arm across her chest. She's in that classic L position at the top, and all she needs to do now is just rotate out of the way and rotate. She's going to rotate her left side through impact. So go ahead, Karen. And she ends up again with the chest pointing to the right of the target because she's left-handed. The two knees are very close together because of the rotation of her left side. And that's what we're looking for.
It teaches you a new vocabulary. I'm not sure you can repeat it, but no, golf is a marvelous activity because you meet people from all over the world. I came from the south side of Chicago from a very meager beginning. I've been all over Europe. I've been with movie stars and I mean, Frank Sinatra is the godfather to my daughter. I hang around with Joe Pesci. I mean, I couldn't get in the door to meet these people, but I can teach golf, and they love golf. Golf was a passion to them. So it's taken me all over the world. Plus, it teaches you a lot of really good things. I think it's great for kids because it teaches you honesty, integrity. You know, this is one of the few sports where you call a penalty on yourself. So it's wonderful. It's a great activity, but it's very rewarding, and it parallels life in a lot of ways. There's a lot of defeats and a few victories, and you're always getting knocked down. You have to keep getting back up. The people that make it to the tour professionals, which are an elite group, they have to go through so many sacrifices to get there. Social sacrifices, the time, and then even at that point, you have to have the mindset to take the onslaught of defeats that you face in this game. It's a hard game, but it's also a very rewarding sport. I said game, but it's really more of a sport that is a tremendous challenge. In watching golf swings, the most efficient swing I ever saw was Ben Hogan's. His later swing, not his first swing. It was about as perfect as it could be. And he said that he had a secret and never really divulged it. And I think when he took it to his grave. So the only thing we have is film of him, and studying film of him, you come up with perceptions. And I saw readily that the majority of his weight was on his left foot at the top of his golf swing, and how it got there. And it was very specific how it got there. And I saw that this is an easier way to do this. The golf swing, it simplifies the motion because it takes you away from 2 axes to 1. And it's much easier on your back when you hit the golf ball because you're not torquing your back. And because there's a consistency in this action. When you play golf where you're moving off the golf ball and back onto the golf ball, that isn't incorrect, but it's much more difficult. And that's what I found, that what people don't realize, that the touring pros are finding the easiest way to do this, not the hardest, because they're playing for so much money and there's so much pressure. So they're always looking for something to simplify this action and make it repeatable. Well, we've come to the conclusion of our video, and I thank you very much. I'd like to leave you with some comment and a couple of tips. First of all, if you really want to play this game at a better level, you've got to improve your short game. Practice is important, but smart practice is very important. Fall in love with that wedge, leave that driver in the bag, and I promise you your scores are going to drop. As for the tips, if you happen to get to Palm Desert, California, you've got to try Tiramisu Restaurant. It is one of the finest Italian restaurants that I've ever been to. While you're there, pick up a bottle of Chimney Rock from the Terlato International family of fine wines. This Cabernet is just exquisite. In fact, all the wines from that portfolio are exquisite. I wish you the best and good luck.